845, you're on a Radical Agenda. What's your agenda?
Fuck Chuck and fuck Gary. Chuck Star needs to be taken away.
Did you? You don't even say sorry for the F.
What?
What kind of common courtesy is that? Go ahead. What are you talking about there, Dave?
Chuck and Gary are filthy freaking.
All right. Dave. Again, this is the thing. Look, Dave, you've remarked before, right? Dave in New York. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, you're not familiar with Dave. Let me just reiterate: he's a regular caller, and he doesn't do well with social cues. He's kind of like in his own head. He doesn't understand that everybody doesn't already know what he's talking about. Nobody gives a shit about Chuck and Dave. Nobody knows who you're talking about, okay? When you just call in here and you say that these people that I know in my regular life, these people who ride the rail trail with me in Poughkeepsie, New York, or whatever is going on in your little brain there, Dave, nobody else understands what you're talking about. You didn't give them any background. They don't understand why you're mad at these people. They don't know who these people are, and you're just telling everybody that they're terrible, right? You remember, Dave. Shut up. Remember, what did I tell you about when you want a woman or you want a girl or you want money or anything? Is that you've got to think about the other people around you, and you're just completely inconsiderate. You don't care about what anybody else is thinking. You've just got ideas in your head, and you just want to start rattling off words.
Chuck and Gary are on Zillow. It's a board on Zillow. It's called a death squad. And Gary gave Chuck an admin star. He's always bouncing me. I'm sitting and he's doing saying Chuck, and he has the most stupidest laugh ever. Chuck needs his star to be taken away.
Okay. Well, that's good, Dave. I'm glad that you're upset. You call. I saw you make posts, Dave. You say like, I got to have a show that's just a free for all, where we're not talking about politics or whatever. That what we really need is a show where people can call in about anything. Now, if you haven't gathered the fact that I didn't hang up on him, he's gone, thank God. If you haven't gathered, that's exactly what the Radical Agenda is, right? Like, I obsess over politics and race and demographics and philosophy and that sort of thing and economics. Not everybody does, so every once in a while people call in about chicks or whatever it is. Whatever your particular circumstances happen to dictate is of interest to you, you're welcome to call in about it at 747-234-2254, Radical Agenda on Skype. But this is why, right? Like, it's so funny to me that Dave even still listens to the show. He's been listening. Dave's followed me over here from Free Talk Live, right? He's been a Free Talk Live caller for a long time, and when I got fired for racism, Dave came over and followed us to the Radical Agenda, and here we find ourselves. And I'm glad that he listens. But he calls in and he's like, I don't care about all this politics. How the F do you listen to the Radical Agenda? You don't care about this? What are you just waiting for me to tell a dick joke or something? Come on. But, let me give you an example of you on hold. I'm going to get to you, but I'm going to play first this little I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I wish I had cut this up into segments. Maybe when I get some help up here, it'll be easier for me to do. I got an 80-minute phone call, almost 79-minute phone call recorded from Dave talking to a gal by the name of Jamie. I think he told you, he called in here not so long ago. He's like, I was talking to a chick for like an hour and she didn't want to go see fireworks. You remember this? Well, he put the goddamn recording of the phone call up on Soundgasm, and here it is.
Let's see if we can call it Jamie. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing? How you doing?
Who is this?
Dave.
Dave who?
Grady, we spoke the other day. You said you had something to do with court or something, and you said one of your friends was doing food shopping for you or something.
Yeah, you don't do anything for me.
There's fireworks tomorrow in my area. You want to go and see them?
No.
Why?
No, I
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Gentlemen, I should say. Listen, if you have like a gal turn you down for something, and she's like, no, I don't want to go do this thing, and you say why, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, maybe your relationship with this person is such that you are like, this seems out of character, and I will inquire as to why the change of pace. Well, like if you call somebody up, they don't even remember your voice. You have to tell them your last name, and then when they turn you down for your little date there, you say why? You know, it is an indicator that you are not familiar with social interactions at all.
No, I have too many things to do.
Here's something else I want to ask you. Like you always say that you're gonna you always say that you'll.
I'm getting evicted out of my apartment. I'm sorry that the fireworks have to take a back seat. I have to get stuff done.
Yeah, and you're always saying that you'll call me back later, and like you don't.
I had court. How old are you, sir?
I'm your age.
Then why don't you understand where I'm coming from?
How old is there? Your age, which I don't know how old they all are, but they're. I think they're both older than me, frankly, but which is really saying a fucking lot at this point. Jesus Christ, sorry for the F. Why don't you get where I'm coming from? Are you an adult? I'm not returning your phone calls. I'm not accepting your invitation to a date. Why do you keep on asking me questions, dumbass?
No, I'm just saying that you always say that you'll
Are
call
you
me.
half retarded?
Huh?
Are you half retarded?
No.
Well then.
Well, retardation is not actually the problem that I have there, ma'am. The problem is that I got Aspergers and bipolar.
Stop saying stuff like about fireworks and this and that without understanding where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and you always say that you'll call me back, but then you don't.
You just, again, with the repetition, right? Oh, wait, the fact that you told me that I should take the goddamn hint already, I'm just going to repeat that the hint is that you don't return my calls.
Dave, I've got to find a way to get my bills somewhat summed up and then get out. Fireworks are not my priority. I thought I could handle it, but I ended up getting into a fight with my landlord.
Wow.
I don't know what you want me to say. You want me to put everything else on a back burner when I'm ready to get evicted? I don't understand what you're saying.
I like talking to you, and it's like when I call, it's just sometimes you're not around or whatever, and
But I just told you, like legit.
Yeah, that you're getting evicted.
And he's like, that's not my problem that you're getting evicted. My problem is that women won't sleep with me.
I need to find an apartment. I need to keep my Wi-Fi on. I need to, do stuff. You're like, fireworks. You need to ask another person. And I'm not even being rude about it. I'm just being like, you should probably ask somebody else.
I don't know anybody else.
I don't know.
I wonder why. Dave. I wonder why there's nobody else that you could call about the fireworks, because you have not been listening to the advice of the radical agenda. I don't know how that could possibly work out poorly for you.
Get some money. Figure it out.
Get some money, Dave.
I don't know anybody else, but
But get money? What are you talking about? That would require me getting a job, and don't you know that I don't know how to work a cash register?
Excuse me.
because I'm up here in Poughkeepsie. Maybe you could move up here or something. And
Right. Oh, you're getting evicted from your apartment? That's fine. You know what? I don't know what getting evicted is like, because I got a housing voucher that the government gives me so that I could pay these bastards to let me live in their apartment or whatever. So I got an idea. Why don't you get kicked out of your house, and then you'll apply for a housing voucher, and then you can sleep in my you can have the top bunk.
could hang out or something.
Sweet cheeks. Are you in a halfway house or something? Because
No, I am not. I am not in a halfway house. I have my own.
I need money.
You ever see how defensive Dave gets? I mean, we haven't done it all a while. I don't accuse him of being on welfare when he calls into the show, because we already know he's got whatever disability, whatever it is. But this comes up on Free Talk Live from time to time. He gets really upset when you accuse him of being on welfare or, having some kind of government benefit. He doesn't even want to acknowledge the government benefit that he gets, but that's the only one that he's willing to acknowledge. He wants to separate. He's like, no, I don't live in a halfway house. The government just gives me a voucher that I pay the landlord with so that I can live in a place full of people who aren't fit for society.
I'm never going to be able to. I've been doing everything alone for over a year. I told you that before. I said, you know what? I would love to go, blah, but it's now like weeks away and things are happening. And I can't afford to pay for my car insurance. I can't afford to pay for certain things that I really, really need. And you're not listening to me. So on that note, I'm not sure what you want me to say to you. And that's not even being mean. That's just telling you that I have real life problems. If you continue to go on the road of not caring, that's fine. But I can't take you and fun before me.
I'm not saying that I'm not caring. And you asked me if I live in a halfway house. No,
I'm not.
It goes right back to that. I feel self-conscious about how I use my housing voucher.
I'm telling you that I have problems. You're blowing them off.
Well, everyone.
Which is illustrative, right? Like I told you, Dave, he called into the show today, and he just says, "Oh, my friends, I don't like them. I'm upset with people who live in my neighborhood, so I'm going to call into an international radio show and talk about it to listen to, so 10,000 anti-Semites can hear about my personal squabbles with my neighbors." He doesn't care. He's not even thinking about this woman's predicament. He's like, okay, so you're getting kicked out of your apartment, so you're broke, so your life is complete shit. All I care about is having somebody to come with me to the fireworks show.
Has problems.
I don't know why. I think I'm actually confused as to why when somebody tells you all this shit is going on in their life, and you're like, you said this, you said that. You're not acknowledging me. And I don't know how much longer I can, why would you say that?
Well, you asked me if I live in a halfway house, and no, I do not. I have.
Right? He just completely ignored everything that she said and went back to this little piece of, self-consciousness that he has about himself because he's not trying to address a word that comes out of her mouth, right? And, look, the fact that this woman is still on the phone with him, I think indicates that she's got her problems herself, right? I'm not trying to put this chick up on a pedestal. It's just illustrative of what I'm talking about. Somebody says, what do you call? What do they just say in the chat here? I understand why Chris gets annoyed by him, but Dave is a funny mofo. The show wouldn't be the same without Dave. I completely agree with you there, sir. Mr. Stampede there. I completely agree with you. Dave is funny. Dave's entertaining. There's a call where he called in. He says, I'm the entertainment of this program. I'm funny. I'm like, I would never deny you do, Dave. Some of the best content we've had on the Radical Agenda, absolutely, is Dave calling in. But you have to have somebody on the other end of the phone call to make Dave worthwhile, which is why your humble correspondent here is so well liked by thousands of thought criminals. But there's no attempt, there's no effort, I don't know. Okay, we'll a little bit more of this, and then we'll move on.
My own apartment.
It doesn't matter. It's not an insult.
I have my own apartment.
No, you don't, Dave. The government pays for your apartment.
Unfortunately, I need to figure out some financial stuff right now, and that happens in life. It does.
Okay, I mean, I'm still struggling with financial stuff.
Okay, so it's a no-go.
Yeah. Hey, bitch, I don't want to hear about your money problems. I got money problems, too. I haven't been employed in years.
But I also want to meet you, and we can hang out, maybe do something.
Yeah, I want. Remember what I said?
Me?
Yeah.
Why would anyone meet me?
You sound like a cool person, and, we're both about the same age.
Why would anyone meet me? What are you talking about?
We can, maybe go to, the mall, walk around, maybe get something to eat.
Why would I go to the mall?
To hang out, to get...
No, sweetheart. That is for fucking 15-year-olds. I'm not going to the mall. And walking around.
I mean, just this pops into my head, right? guys who are going out there trying to meet girls or whatever, right? And they're like, what do you want to do? If you don't already have like a date in mind, here's one. Do something original, okay? You want to invite a girl to come do something with you? Invite her to go do something else. People say like, all right, we'll go for coffee, we'll go for drinks, we'll go see a movie, et cetera, et cetera. These are very plain, if you will, right? Find out if there is like a comedy club in your area. Take a gal to a live comedy show, all right? Don't say, let's go walk around the mall, maybe get something to eat. Say, give her a novel approach. Be like, hey, you want to go see a stand-up comic? Believe me when I tell you, they hear that a lot less frequently than they hear the other things that you're going to say to them, and it's a lot more likely to make you stand out. And by the way, I once heard it said that if you can make a woman laugh, you can make her do anything, which is why I decided to become a comedian in the first place, because I'm a pervert.
Well, teenagers don't really, I mean, yeah, they go there, but like, you know, you also see adults there too.
I think you might. Are you a little slow?
No.
No, I'm not a little slow.
All right. I was just wondering. It's cool to be like a little bit slow, but when somebody has real life problems, they have to figure that out. Like walking around the mall is when you're in high school and you want to steal a magazine from the bookstore, not when you're grown up.
Well, people who have lots of money, they go out and like, you know, they hang out with friends, maybe go to like restaurants and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. If you're going to go to TGIS, or you're going to go to the movies, or you're going to go like shopping for Christmas, or you want to like not to just walk around. That's for children. And when you have like a lot of things going on in your life, you just don't do it. I'm sorry. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Don't call anymore.
No, you sound like a really cool person, and I want to meet you, and we can, I don't know, what do you have, like, do you like to go fishing, or do you like to go to, like, a park and walk around, or, you know?
We're going to try to rattle off dates that he doesn't have to pay for.
Are you into, like,
Are you handicapped?
Are you handicapped?
I don't know, do you like race cars at all, or, you know?
Are you handicapped?
No.
Why would you keep asking me something if I told you that I'm having a financial problem? It's almost like a child ignoring what I'm saying. It's like going into the grocery store and somebody grabbing at something and saying, why can't I have this? I don't get it. I mean, like, I don't get it.
You know,
Tell me. You have to tell me because I don't know you. That's like also like me asking you for money, and you don't know me, and you wouldn't do it. It's a no-no, right? It's a no-no.
Don't be so sure he wouldn't, sweetheart.
So when something happens in the grown-up world, when things happen, you have to be like, oh, I can't do this. Are you used to hanging out with like kids?
no. Well, I have a friend of mine
Why
who...
are you acting like this? Why are you acting like you're used to hanging out with kids?
I have a friend of mine who does have one, so, but, you know, she was down here like towards the end of June, and we hung out for a while.
I knew a person who had kids.
That has nothing to do with what I said. Nothing. I'm glad your friend has a child or kid or whatever. What does it have to do with me?
Because you just asked me if I was hanging. Yeah, my friend came down from Maine for like a week.
All right, so I'm going to stop there. This goes on for another 68 minutes, and it obviously would be malpractice for me to continue. But Dave is just priceless, you know. And the thing is, some people ask me, like, why do you still take his calls, whatever, and other people think he's the greatest part of the show. Other people think that this is some actor that I hired. I assure you, Dave has, like, hundreds of YouTube videos out there with, like, 50 views on them. No professional would invest that much time into something that earns so little reward, right? So Dave is, to the best of my knowledge, a real person who is actually acting out on all of these things. And it's illustrative, you know. I feel like there's... it's exaggerated, right? He's like this worst case scenario of social awkwardness, but using Dave as an example, I feel like maybe I'll improve upon my ability to give you real advice as a result of it as time goes forward. But like, he's this perfect example of a lot of problems that go on in our society. People who are not particularly smart, people who just don't care about the needs of others, people who are not particularly interested in meeting the needs, meeting people's desires in a marketplace in order to gain standing, and complaining about why the world isn't organizing around them. Right? That's the entire goddamn Democratic Party, and so. I feel like it's useful to sort of go over some of the things that he says, because a lot of people who are not in Dave's exact predicament with disorders or whatever still display a lot of these behaviors. This is why the alt-right calls everybody autistic, right? Not taking into account, the libertarians that do, I don't care about aesthetics. All I care is about is my ideology. It's like, okay, well, that's fine for your little debating society over there. But if you want to start, getting people to do what you want them to do, you might want to figure out another way to do it.